Hey everyone, it's Mimi and Weezes.
Hey guys, what's good?
We're back.
We're back from our crazy hiatus.
We don't know what happened, but we got busy there for a while. Me and Miles bought a house, so we have a new recording studio. So this is our first ever episode with probably less echo is what we're hoping, because there's carpet and stuff in this room. So,
and we want you guys to know we didn't leave you guys behind. We were going to come back eventually.
And we did. We did. It took us a while. We talked about it for the past 3 weeks. Every day we'd be like, dude, we should record today. That would be crazy.
And then we would just sit around watching.
We would just sit around and watch TV instead and just go be depressed in our rooms for no reason.
Laying down. I was like, it wouldn't be crazy if I fall asleep at 6 p.m.
He did, on several different occasions. It was actually pretty sickening. But what else did we do? Oh, we moved to the new house, right? And then we got sick. And so everyone in the house has some minor version of the flu, I would say. It's
not my fault, guys.
It might be. Yeah, so Jesus also got a new job. Yeah, he works at a different place now. And it's a medical place, so he had to get all these vaccines, and then he got sick. And I don't know if that caused us to get sick or if someone else did, but...
See, I blame your guys' weak immunity system. No.
Well, I mean, you're the one who got sick first, though. So he's ground zero, dude.
Yeah, ground zero.
But anyways, so for our first episode back, we decided to cover Brittany Murphy. So we wanted to cover the Brittany Murphy case back when we were doing all the P. Diddy stuff and all the conspiracy theory stuff in general. And we just never got around to it because that's how we are. But we're back and we're going to do it even better.
Hell yeah.
So... Where was the first place you saw Brittany Murphy?
In Clueless.
Clueless? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I saw her in Clueless, but I don't think I ever put the pieces together when I was a kid. Because I was young. Even in 2009, I was a freshman in high school when she died,
Yeah, for sure.
I remember her, and I don't know why I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's the movie with Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning when she's a kid. And something girls? I don't know. I don't know why I can't remember it right now, but it's a super good movie. And that's the first place I saw her. And then
Is that the one where it's a little girl and then she dreams of being older and she becomes older? Is it that one?
No, I don't think so. Is it? I don't know. I just remember her being the babysitter and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. And Dakota Fanning's a little brat at the beginning, you know? Okay, so that's the one I remember. But I haven't seen it in years. I'm going to watch it today, though, now that we talked about it. Well, anyway. And then I saw her in Just Married.
And 8 Mile.
8 Mile, yeah, she was in 8 Mile. And then she was young. She was 32 when she passed away. And I was a kid, so I didn't really get much of a chance to see any of her other work. But when she passed away, let's get back to her story. So she became super famous. She was in all these movies. Her career was taking off, right?
Yes.
And she had just got married, I think it was in 2007, to Simon Monjack was his name. Might be pronouncing his last name wrong, but I don't think so.
It's actually Simone Monjack. No, I'm just kidding.
It could be. He's famous, so he might. Dude, just
I'm just playing.
Well, she gets married to him. They end up buying a mansion, right? And Brittany's mom, Sharon Murphy, she's an important part of this story because she's living with them. Well, Brittany's mom, Sharon, calls 911 and is like, oh my gosh, my daughter... she's collapsed. This is on, I think, December 20th, 2009. So, police come, ambulance comes, all that stuff. She passes away. They end up saying that her cause of death is pneumonia and anemia. Okay, that doesn't seem too sus, right? Besides the fact that she's 32, and that's pretty young. That's a pretty weird age to die from pneumonia.
Yes.
So then they start thinking, okay, well, she struggled with addiction. She's struggled with an addiction to pain pills, other prescription medications, even over-the-counter medications and supplements. So they're like, her immune system was already messed up. That didn't help. And then everyone just lets it go. And so then it brings up the question, okay, well, how does someone this young die from some random bout of pneumonia? Everyone started getting real weirded out. Then there's this rumor going around, okay, well, maybe there was mold in the house. So it was actually Simon's mom who says, he said there was mold in the house. He's been having hallucinations for the past few months. He said he found mass amounts of mold on multiple occasions. And, and she's like...
dude, just throwing this out. Imagine they found asbestos and they're like, oh my God.
We got to cover this up.
We've been... We've been living here how long?
Yeah. Well, he says he finds something, but the only person who knows about it apparently is his mom. So weird. Right?
Weird.
Everyone else says, okay, well, that wasn't true. Whatever. Then all the people online, you can go through all these forums, you go on Reddit, YouTube, all this stuff, and see some information. So then there came the question, well, was the house haunted? And if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, you don't. But here's the story. It gets pretty weird.
Yeah.
So Brittany Murphy actually bought this house from Britney Spears.
Ooh.
Right?
Hit me, baby, one more time.
So at the time that Britney Spears owns this house, she's at the peak of her fame. This is back in 2003 when she's dating Justin Timberlake. She's putting snakes around her neck at her performances. She's at the peak of her career, dude.
She's the number one right now.
She is. I remember those days. I went to a concert. It was the coolest time of my life. Anyways, so Brittany lives in this house. She's having one of her big party weekends, right? Britney Spears calls her makeup artist, Julianne Kay, she calls her and tells her, I had a crazy weekend. I need some healing stuff, She sends over this Reiki healer guy. He comes over. She tells him, she needed to relax after her crazy party, all this stuff. Well, Brittany, this guy leaves after doing the healing treatment. I think that's what you call it.
Yeah, burn some sage and then rub an egg at places,
and some crystals, and yeah. So he leaves, and Britney Spears swears that he opened some spiritual portal or something weird in her house because she saw some crazy stuff and people in her home that were I don't really know all what she saw. I think Jesus knows a little bit. It was people or two people or something, right?
Yeah, she saw basically a woman and a guy basically living there.
Yeah, and she said they tried to push her down the stairs or something crazy. And so she calls Julianne back and is like, I am leaving. This was scary. I know this is going to sound crazy. And she said, but I know what I felt and I know what I saw. And she packed her stuff up, went to a hotel, never went back to her house ever again, and sold it.
So what, they had people go for your stuff or what?
Yeah, she just had, you're a millionaire. You might as well just hire people to go pack.
She's like, I'm just going to leave everything there. I'll buy new stuff.
Yeah, literally. She was just like, no. And she went and stayed at this fancy hotel, bought a new house, sold that one, and left. Well, it gets creepier because after all of that, then Brittany Murphy ends up buying the house, right?
Yes.
And her husband ends up saying in later interviews that she absolutely hated the house. She despised it. Anytime that they would drive up in that area of California, she'd be like, I don't want to stay here. Let's just stay at the Beverly Hills Motel. And he'd be like, we have a 10,000 square foot mansion. Bro, we're staying at our house. And she refused because she said she never said anything, and neither did he, about ever seeing anything. But she said that there was something wrong with the house and that it gave her eerie vibes and that she didn't feel safe or comfortable there.
She just felt something always watching her.
Yeah, she said it felt unlucky, is what she said. She said anytime she goes there, something bad happens. And so she ends up, at that house, she has one of her favorite places to be, and it was literally in that bathroom where she passed away.
Ooh.
And so he said that she spent most of her time in there, and she would read magazines, sing, write poetry, sample all her new makeup and stuff that she bought. But she spent the majority of time in that house, in that bathroom. And we think of it as, if it was at our house, it'd be weird as heck if I was spending all my time in a bathroom because it's, 3 feet by 3 feet? It's a tiny little bathroom.
They lived in a mansion, so maybe their
bathroom is probably the size of this room.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? It has a vanity.
There's a lounge in there, basically.
Yeah, so it was probably a pretty big bathroom compared to what we're used to. So then she ends up dying in there, which is super sad. So then, 6 months later, her husband dies too. What do you think he died from, Jesus?
Is it anemia and pneumonia?
Yep. What do you know? Isn't that freaking weird to you? So, it's weird for these young people to be getting pneumonia, right?
Yeah.
Not getting pneumonia, but dying from pneumonia is what's weird.
Because you can get pneumonia and still be fine.
Yeah. So then, I came to think, okay, this is weird. And we're going to start getting into some conspiracy theories here. So all of the stuff that we're going to say is alleged. You know, we're not stating anything as facts.
It happened in VR, guys.
Yeah, none of this is that we're saying is facts or pointing a finger, just like to state before. Some of this stuff is facts, so I'll tell you guys that that's a fact. But who benefited, you know, from Brittany Murphy dying, basically, was my first question. And I'm like, okay, well, where did her money in her house go? Not to her husband, surprisingly. It went all to her mom.
Her mom?
Mm-hmm. It went all to Sharon Murphy. And I was like, that's interesting. And in her will, it specifically stated, I am married to Simon Monjack, and I've intentionally left him out of this will. And she left her estate and money to her mom.
So maybe her mom set her up?
Maybe. Well, then I started thinking, like, dang, so then why'd she kill the husband then? I'm allegedly, you know, like, that's what I was thinking. If she were to kill her daughter to inherit all this stuff, why was the husband left alive? And then I'm like, oh, well, he wasn't in the will, so there was nothing to take, right?
Yeah.
Well, you just wait. So then, after she passes, they start, like, doing some research, right? Her husband, so Brittany's, I think it was her accountant or some money manager or whatever.
For sure.
Looks into it, and Simon still had control and access to her accounts and stuff because they were married. He took 80% of her money, leaving the mom with, you know, when I say little to nothing, would be enough for us to live off of the entire rest of our lives and our grandchildren's life. But to her...
Like she sold the 10 million mansion, and she only got 20% of her money. She was left with nothing.
I know, she was left with nothing, but her net worth was $10 million the day she died. And he took 80% of that. So she still had plenty of money. Anyways, so he takes that money, right? Well, he passes away, like I said, like I think it was 5 or 6 months later, closer to 5. And when the police are doing their investigation, they have to go through their bedroom and everything. They go through his room and doing like the search of the bed and DNA and all that stuff. Turns out Mama Sharon's been sleeping in his bed with him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read a little bit about this, saying that when Brittany passed away, basically Sharon and Simon got real close. Real close.
Yeah, I saw... Let me swallow this so I don't get the nasty sound. So I don't know when they say sleeping in the same bed, if they mean sleeping in the same bed or sleeping in the same bed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm thinking they mean the second one because here's another odd fact, right? And this is all actual fact from the case report, is that when they were doing their search of his bedroom, they did find, like, a ton of prescription pills, like, different bottles. Some of the prescriptions were made out to him. Some were made out to someone named Trevor Williams, who I forgot to research, and I'm just remembering right now. But the third one that they talked about, and there was a picture of it, guess who the prescription was made out to?
Was it Brittany, dude?
No, it was Sharon. But, you know Sharon's last name is Murphy, right? Brittany's
yes.
On the prescription, it was Sharon Monjack. The husband's last name.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is getting weirder and freaking weirder. And then another thing comes up is that when she met Simon, he's like a British filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
He was in shitloads of debt. It's basically the easy way to say it. Like, he was in horrible, tons of amounts of debt. So, did he owe someone? Did something happen? Could it have not been the mom? I don't know. Well, in 2014, the mom, Sharon, I think it was in 2013, she actually ends up selling Brittany Murphy's house because she inherited it, right?
Yes.
And she took a huge loss on it because I think Brittany Murphy had bought it for like $3.8 million. And she couldn't sell it when she had it on the market. So she had to lower the price to like 2-point-something million.
They're like, you think we're going to buy that house? Brittany died in there.
Yeah, and her husband. And Britney Spears thinks there's ghosts in there. You think we're going to freaking purchase this?
It's the murder house.
Yeah, literally, that's what people said. And they're like, we're not buying it. All of it to me is just weird. And I don't know. The mom, she ends up in 2013 selling the house. In 2014, she like writes some letter. Well, basically, what it said was just like, I'm so devastated. Because Brittany Murphy's dad comes in. This is another part that I forgot to mention. So Brittany Murphy's dad comes out and it attaches to this letter that her mom writes. And he says, I think something happened to my daughter and I'm going to find out what. Well, Brittany Murphy's dad wasn't around for like, you know, her childhood and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like her biological dad, but he wasn't like her dad. You know what I mean? Like, so he comes out and is like, something's off. I think she was poisoned. So he goes ahead and gets his own testing done on her. And the toxicology comes back. They do a hair strand test thing.
Yeah.
And they find that there was like 10 different types of like high amounts of heavy metals in her body, which will kill you.
Yeah.
And that's consistent with poisoning. And they were just like, oh, well, oopsie, we missed that the first time. Oh, no. And they just let it go. No one did anything about it. So then the mom in 2014 writes this letter being like, how dare you? This man's never been part of her life. And he's just going to come around now and say that he's here for her and move here for her. And basically, like, I've always been by her side. I miss my daughter. I'm grieving her and my son-in-law so much, blah, blah, blah. And then she literally hasn't, like, she was, like, fallen off the map since then. So there is an actual documentary on all of this. And you can watch it.
I think it's HBO Max.
Is it? Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah. And they reached out to her to try and find her to do an interview for this documentary. And they had to hire, like, a private investigator and stuff to find her. And they, like, had to leave her letters because she was so well hidden. She never responded. No one's really seen her since 2014.
Oh, so
So she just kind of disappeared.
She just went to an island, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they know where she's at, but she doesn't do anything. She's, like, stays out of the spotlight completely. And that's it. Yeah.
Seems a little suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Very suspicious. I don't know. I don't like it. Now, we'll get on to another conspiracy theory. So, her husband also had ties to the one and only Sean Combs, dude. P. Diddy. They had the same personal trainer. So, I don't know. That's literally the tie that they had that we know about. But then that brings in a whole lot of other conspiracies if you know just the name in general, P. Diddy being involved in this, allegedly. Because, well, there's a lot of info. You guys remember our Sean Combs and Kim Porter episode that we did? And I think, didn't we cover, like,
Aaliyah,
we covered Aaliyah in it and everything?
We covered all the members of his old production.
So we covered that episode, and we talked a lot about Kim Porter and how her death was really suspicious. And guess what she died from, guys? Pneumonia. So that, like, makes you think, okay, that's weird. Well, then I'm like, how? A lot of people have been saying online that Brittany Murphy and P. Diddy had connections in some way. So I started looking into it. You can find a ton of information about it online because it's a new thing, right? If you look up Ashton Kutcher and P. Diddy, there's a lot of stuff on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So hit on Ashton a little bit.
All right, so back in the early 2000s, when he was, like, doing Punk'd and all that, he was dating Brittany Murphy. And if you guys remember, when we talked about Ashton Kutcher, or when we talked about
Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson, in that episode, we covered that Ashton Kutcher was tied to a murder case. And
no one really talks about the murder case, so you have to, like, really deep dive on him to find it, but it's worth it.
Yeah. And allegedly, he was the last person to see, I don't remember the girl's name, but he was the last person to see her alive. So from there, things started getting suspicious. And apart from being Danny Masterson's best friend, there's just so much to go off of. So what Miranda was saying, you know, P. Diddy and Ashton Kutcher, best friends. There's so much out there, so much photos out there of them together.
At white parties.
At white parties, yes. Mm-hmm. And, well, I'm going to get into what Ashton Kutcher was doing before what happened allegedly. He was running a foundation that helped people that were getting trafficked. You know, they would get them therapy. They would rehome them. You know, they would get them back to normal, back to basically becoming a human again. Yeah. Because it's pretty bad. Well, allegedly, he got fired from that foundation, and allegedly, he also left the country with his wife and kids.
Amongst all this stuff going on with P. Diddy, then people started being like, okay, well, isn't that weird that one of your best friends is an anti-human traffic, like, company owner, you know, basically? He runs this whole campaign and this whole thing against it. So then people were like, wait a second. And then all of a sudden, he gets kicked from it and then moves.
Yeah.
That starts to get sus so quick.
It starts to get weird. And then, you know, like we covered in the Danny Masterson episode, him and Mila Kunis also wrote letters defending Danny Masters, saying that he never did anything of that was spoken of in the trials and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then when they were like, oh, guilty, they were like, oh no, we didn't mean anything we said, we're so sorry, we didn't realize he had done this.
All right, well that's what's basically happening to him now. But let's go back. You know, when they were dating, when he was dating Brittany Murphy, obviously he would probably take her to the parties, and allegedly Brittany Murphy hated going anywhere near P. Diddy. Another thing is saying that she was blacklisted because she didn't want to participate in the P. Diddy parties. You know, P. Diddy likes to gatekeep the music industry and the movie industry. So if you don't do what he says, you know, you ain't gonna have movies. You ain't gonna be famous.
Well, and I was listening and reading up on that whole situation, and they said it was so random that she just got blacklisted because no one knew why or anything. And her and Ashton Kutcher had just broken up, and then when they break up, right, because Ashton was getting famous from that 70s show still. He was on Just Married. The set of Just Married is actually how they met. So they start dating from there, and then they break up, and he's just taking off. His career is just taking off, and then hers starts to plummet, and she gets blacklisted from going on certain things in Hollywood, and it's like, why? And literally, there's not an answer onto why she got blacklisted. So was P. Diddy using his influence, allegedly, to do this, you know? Gotta be careful. Oh, there's a picture, like you were saying, there's lots of pictures of Ashton Kutcher and P. Diddy, especially at their parties. And he also has some with Demi Moore. But there's a picture that I saw specifically of P. Diddy, Brittany Murphy, and Ashton Kutcher together at a basketball game and stuff. So, like, they were together and around each other a lot. So, you never know. Well, and to make matters worse, right?
Yes.
So, when Kim Porter died, right, she had to get an autopsy as well. Obviously, everyone does. Guess the weirdest thing here is that Kim Porter, Brittany Murphy, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and Paul Walker all had the same coroner on their do their autopsies, which is a little sus, right? So he's doing the same tests on Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy and saying, oh, it's just ammonia and anemia. That's it.
All those people except for Paul Walker died of, poisoning, essentially.
Yeah. I think the Paul Walker thing is just a coincidence. Well, after listening to our Paul Walker episode, it might not be. Maybe he was someone that you could easily pay off, allegedly. You never know. But what's even weirder is that after he did Kim Porter's initial autopsy, he had to do a second autopsy, and he died of natural causes right before he had to perform the second autopsy. His name was Ed Winters. I was going to say Eric, but no, it's Ed Winters. And then he dies in late 2023. Or early 2023, I'm sorry.
All right, so let me hit you with another conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Okay, so a month before Brittany Murphy died, apparently her and her husband, Simon, were in Puerto Rico on a movie set, filming one of their movies together. And Simon got kicked out because he was, like, wasted, like, sloshed. And they were going to fly home that same day. And when they were flying home, apparently Simon just started, throwing up, got really super sick that they had to do an emergency landing. Apparently, they had gotten a virus from being in Puerto Rico, but the virus didn't really affect Brittany. Well, so we thought, right? And when they got home, a month later, she dies, right? And then 5 months later, he dies. Same thing. And they're saying that it's from a virus that they got in Puerto Rico. But that doesn't account for the toxicology report.
Yeah, for the heavy metals.
For the heavy metals, yes.
Oh, in the hair. Yeah, and I don't know about his report. I don't know what came back on his, to be honest. Like, there's not much on him, to be honest, because Brittany was so famous, it kind of took over. And so most of the things you can find on the internet and stuff are going to be more, like, pointed towards her. But here's something that's weird, right? So I'm thinking, if she was poisoned, what could she have been poisoned with? And so I started looking into, like, types of poisoning, and I looked up the cyanide poisoning, like mimic pneumonia.
Yeah.
And literally the internet says, yes, cyanide poisoning can cause respiratory symptoms that mimic pneumonia, including lung injury and breathing problems. Cyanide poisoning can also cause other symptoms such as headache, confusion, and vomiting. Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that just, like, makes it even crazier. And then I looked up to, like, okay, well, what does it do? Does it cause heavy metals in the blood and stuff? And no, it doesn't. Not itself, anyways. What it does is, so it says cyanide does not directly cause heavy metals to accumulate in the body. Instead, cyanide works by binding to iron within certain enzymes in the body, effectively blocking their function and disrupting cellular respiration, which is why it's so toxic. Because it basically, like, takes oxygen from your blood is, like, the easiest way to, like, explain it.
So you choke from the inside, dude?
Yeah. So then it's like, if she was already anemic before and she already had low, like, blood cell count, then
let's just say they were both sick from this virus already, that like affected their immune system, and then they got that.
Well, and then, like, cyanide, if allegedly, you know, cyanide was put in their food or drink or whatever somehow,
The mom was giving them apple seeds every day until they died.
Or, like, you know, what is it, peach pit or apricot pit or something too. Like, you know, they could be doing weird stuff. And then, like I said, if she was already anemic before that, then it would, like, kill her twice as fast because she's already a tinier person in general and she has anemia. So,
All right, Miranda, let me hit you with another one.
Okay.
Okay, so you know how she said that, like, she didn't like the house, it was unlucky. Like, she didn't like being in there.
Yeah.
But she was all, you know, in her final moments, she was also really paranoid. She like we said, she felt something was watching her, and her and her husband even got 56 cameras installed. They had CCTVs everywhere, basically for the camera system. They had a fingerprint entrance, and then they had basically like a little, like, area detection. So if anyone walked by or anything like that, they could see it, or they could see it on their system. What were they looking for, or who was looking at them? Yeah,
that is really creepy. I mean, they are famous, so maybe they took extra precautions, I guess, but that's a lot of extra precautions, especially, like, in the area they lived in, you know?
And, you know, Simon also said the same thing. He said that he felt like someone was always looking at them.
Someone was always watching?
Yeah, always watching.
So maybe Britney Spears really did see something and no one believed her?
Yeah. And maybe, you know, maybe one of them believed in paranormal stuff and one didn't. So that's why he was like, well, we're going to install these cameras to see what's what.
Yeah, that could totally be it. And, you know, this is the actual fact, but it is kind of also a funny fact. But do you know that baby oil can cause pneumonia? Did you know that?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, baby oil can cause pneumonia because of, like, if you aspirate it and just, like, in general, if you swallow too much or breathe too much in.
Oh, it's like the eye drop thing, dude.
Yeah,
you
like how
drink eye drops,
diarrhea.
It gives you diarrhea,
Yeah. And so it said that in the video, and then I was like, what?
Baby oil.
Yeah, baby oil. But I don't know. It all just seems really suspicious to me, the pneumonia thing. And Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy have the same
causes of death.
Yeah, and same causes of death. And it's weird because Brittany Murphy's family has, like, you know, dad and stuff have spoken out and been like, no, something's sus. Like, we think she was poisoned. But Kim Porter's family, on their hand, but all of them are like, no, that's not her book. That's not what happened. She died from natural causes. Just leave us alone.
They got brainwashed. I guess it's the same. You know, even Simon said, like, before he died, that he doesn't understand how she died of pneumonia, that because she was really healthy. She would take natural remedies. She would, the only over-the-counter medication she'd take would be cough syrup and then some pills for her time of the month.
Now that you say that, it brings up a point, too, that, like herbal supplements and stuff can cause, like, high levels of metal in your blood.
Oh, man.
Yeah, in your body, so... That, I mean, you would have to probably take a lot of them. You wouldn't just be, like, occasionally taking an herbal supplement and then all of a sudden, drop dead, probably.
These Hollywood people got money, so they were probably buying the, let's say, like, the most expensive natural remedies. Ones. Yeah.
So.
And maybe they were the most toxic.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, tell us what you guys think. And if you guys have any more conspiracies or information on it, leave it in the comments.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe.
And we out.
Yeehaw, brother.